So is it just us?
Well, right now. So what happens is that we go into Facebook, right?
No,
So
but where's Tracy? Or I thought what's her name was going to be here. Lakeitha.
no, so
No,
Tracy, today's Tracy. I think today's Tracy's
it,
birthday.
birthday. I thought it was last week because she wasn't there last week.
She was there last week.
No, she wasn't. Was
Well,
she?
she was having a lot of camera issues.
Okay. Okay.
So she was there, but like it was
Okay. All right. Okay. All
it
right.
was in and out.
All right.
But she is here.
Okay.
She's in
She's on vacation for her
yeah.
birthday. It's this week. Okay. All right. Got you.
We'll say yes because I don't.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to make this. Yes. We're gonna have to make this interesting without Tracy.
Listen, we're gonna be great. We're gonna do great things because we're here, and yes.
Okay, we'll see. All right. And so you're gonna have to help me. Help me, Lord, help me.
You're gonna do amazingly great, and I believe in you. I believe in your greatness and everything you're going to do.
Well, I know I'm a storyteller. It's the rest of it that I might have a problem.
And that's all that it is. We're
right. You know that. You know I can tell a story.
All it is us just having a conversation.
Yes. And we've had plenty of these over the same things.
Right. So just pretend like it's that.
It's me and you, huh?
There's a camera in front of us.
Okay. All right.
Anywho, how you feeling? Are we
okay? Go ahead.
Do you feel ready? Because sharing your story is not easy. It takes a lot.
I am just gonna go for it. Okay, me and the Lord. Look, this is part of what He had me do. Okay, I still have to be a witness. And I always say that. And even though you don't think that the Lord's with you, He's always with you.
Amen.
He's always with you.
Amen.
So, don't make me any more nervous. Just go. Just go.
Nervous. I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Honestly, we're just gonna first of all try to bring people in.
Okay.
Hey, Auntie Joyce. Auntie Joyce is loyal, man. Auntie Joyce is Darren's aunt. She be here. I'm like, hey, Auntie. Hey. Listen, during his episodes, all of the aunties were in the chats, and I was like, hey, y'all. I appreciate it. They are loyal. So yeah, I'm gonna introduce you. Actually, what is your are you like a supervisor dispatcher? I didn't know the type of.
For me, I am actually I'm the HR and dispatcher, and I dispatch. I do HR. Yeah, that's why I can tell stories.
Right. Okay. Because I was like, I don't know. Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, I'm going to introduce you, and then we're going to bring the folks in, allow them to comment. Were you sharing with anyone, Mima? You don't want your people here?
Look, if I have no, I am the wrong one. I am not. I'm not technical.
I can't. Okay.
Semi-tech.
And we're here for it. Okay. So I have to change that. I don't know why, but this is okay. There we go. I have to keep changing the settings for whatever reason, and it's very annoying.
Okay.
Because now I can share it. Okay. Anywho.
So this is all going to be saved on your stuff, so I can always have somebody go back and look at it.
Yes, ma'am.
So there you go. Ma'am. Then have them look at it all.
Right. Be like, don't you stop with Denise's.
Right. See, no, you do the simple thing. Right. You have to play catch up.
All right. So I'll be ready because we're gonna go. All right.
Okay.
So everyone who's watching this live or who's going to watch this in your own time in the rebroadcast, thank you so much for coming in. This is episode 6, and we're here with Denise. I call her Mima, so I'll probably be interchanging her name. Sometime I'll call her Denise, other times I will call her Mima. That's because it's a really, 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 really close friend of mine. So Denise is in HR. Denise has opened her home to me and my mama, in certain situations. Denise is so amazing and loving and kind, and she has a story for today. Hey, Melisha. And in this story, Denise was in the comment section of a few of the episodes, and me and Denise, we work with each other because, I'm always just trying to help. And I got to pull people into the spaces of healing. And Denise has been one of those. And she is willingly going to share pieces of her story. We're going to talk about Soul Survivor, but we're also going to talk about a really heavy topic in the Black and Brown communities, especially as a Black female. We are going to be talking about domestic violence, harassment, abuse. We're going to be talking about a lot of things, okay? So without further ado, world, meet my Mima, aka Denise.
Hey, hi everyone.
Hey.
This, what I have to say is to my heart. It's highly emotional, but it needs to be said.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm already starting. Okay. So I'm going to go where I'm at right now. I'm going to start with PTSD. Okay. Because as I go back down into memory lane, it becomes highly emotional. Okay. And there are triggers.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize this until this year, this month, the end of February, the beginning of March.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a relationship 40 years ago. Okay. And I'm going to tell you this because I'm 65. So 40 years ago, I was in a relationship, and it was an abusive relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And this February or March, I finally had to go to the court system for a restraining order. Because after my husband's been gone 6 years this month, this person kept coming around and decided that I still loved him after 40 years, y'all. Okay. And just bothering me and harassing me and stalking me. And you just don't know what people, because I had abusive relationship, what his next move would be.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go to court and go in front of two different judges, mind you, and explain to them why I'm fearful of this person who I was with 40 years ago. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For the last at least 3-4 years, he's been coming by my house, calling me. I've blocked him. I've asked him not to come by my house. Just leave me alone. I'm happy where I'm at, who I'm with, whatever. And he decides that he's going to continue to do what he wants to do. I am no longer that 16-year-old to 24-year-old person.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I didn't do anything. And this is one of the things I realized, that I really needed to do something. I needed to do it, not anybody else.
Yeah.
It's me.
Yeah.
And I decided that I needed to do something. So I went down to the police station. I said, well, I'll just put a report in. And I get down to the police station. I put the report in. The policeman says, oh, could you please stay here? I'm like, sure. He's going to type it all out and give me an incident. He says, I need you to take this down to the courthouse. I'm like, huh? So he's giving me that little push, but he's telling me that this person's dangerous. So, and I've already lived that danger. So that means I need to go down there and take care of the business that I've never, ever taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
This is the PTSD, guys. Sorry.
Okay.
And I did so. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to go twice. So the first time you go, it's the temporary order for 10 days. And then the next order is for a year extension. I wanted, to infinity because I'm 65. What I got to keep going down there every year to tell and keep this man away from
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
me. They have the courts haven't gotten that far yet. Okay. But so now I have to explain to the judge what has actually happened to me. So I'm going to now bring you back to what has actually happened to me. Being of 16 and a loss of self-esteem that I just didn't have. I was with this man and I let this, well, it was a boy at the time. But I let him tell me that he was the only one for me. Nobody else would want me. It got to that we fought because I am a fighter. It's not like I won't fight you back. Okay.
Yeah.
But it hurts. Them blows hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to the point where so I was hit. I hit back. And I think because I fought back, it sometimes it makes it worse. So I can tell you like a couple of things that have happened to me. I remember my 18th birthday, and he decided that for whatever happened, that he was going to beat me up. And I decided that he wasn't, and we were in the car. So I jumped out of that car, moving.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's afraid, and he takes me to the hospital. And of course, because I have been abused and nobody else wants me, I don't tell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is the worst part that we do, is that we don't tell.
Yeah.
And I don't tell. And I'm lucky I look the way I look. Okay. My whole face was scraped up down to the white meat, and I had glass and dirt and everything in there. And when I hit the ground into the back of my head. So when I hit my head, I had busted open my head, and I had to have stitches. And it was my birthday, and I had just did my hair, and it was laid. Okay. And I get in the hospital, and they tell me they're gonna have to cut my hair. I said, no, you're not. And they're like, no, we have to cut. No, you're not. If you can't stitch my hair like this, my head like this, you can't stitch it. Put a Band-Aid on.
Not a Band-Aid.
That's how silly you are. The brain we get sometimes, right?
Hey, Black women, we protect the crown. Yeah.
So they ended up cutting a little circle and stitching up the back of my head. I had about 8-10 stitches in the back of my head. So now I remember going home, and I had 2 little pigtails, my whole face scraped off. And now I got to go home and tell my parents. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to say anything to my father, because I know he would hit the roof. And you don't tell people, you just don't tell that this is what's happening to you. So I woke my mother up, and I just kind of told her that I fell out of the car. This is where you go with this stuff. I fell out of the car. Okay. I don't think I've ever told my mother the truth yet. And she's gone. And I don't think she's ever known the truth yet. Yeah. Okay. Not a good one. I'm trying to think. I'm so emotional now. And this is what happened when I went to court. This is when I'm talking about that PTSD thing. It's like, this was 40 years ago, and and this is, sometimes we think that, well, I know me, I take everything and I shoved it all down and I kept moving.
Yeah.
Okay. And You just think that you handled it and whatever, and you don't. Okay.
But
Um,
that's the thing that like people seem to not realize, right?
yes.
I think
Yes.
because we are so conditioned to survive, we don't
Right.
actually recognize that survival means I have to face this thing. I have to recognize the impact it's had on my life. And then I have to find a way to move past it. Like the reason why trauma is so difficult is because I said this yesterday in the other podcast that I did, is that trauma is like you are attached to like a bungee cord, you'll get far. There'll
Mhm.
be progression, but then it snaps you right back.
Oh, yes.
And it's
Yes.
not until you like cut that cord that you're always going to be snapped back. And that's very difficult and it's not easy, which is why, you know, seeking out professional help is necessary because you have to work with someone who is trained in the bounce back and the
Right.
snap back of all of the traumas. And it's not easy. It is so
And
difficult to do.
and the triggers. There are triggers.
And the triggers,
And the triggers.
absolutely.
I've learned I got triggers. Okay.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, I I was raped by this person's cousin because of him.
mhm,
Okay. And um, when he found out about it, when I told him, um, the reaction was so that I did something wrong. And, now you want to fight me for something that your cousin did to me because of you.
mhm,
And, so another fight. Um, I tell you, I was suicidal at times,
mhm,
just like why, and I'm a kid. Why do I want to live? This is crazy.
yeah,
Nobody wants me. Yeah, low
mhm,
self-esteem.
yeah,
Nobody wants me. Why am I here? This, and or to the point where he's the only one that wants me. And you
mhm,
go there. Okay,
yeah,
so you don't go anywhere. You're there with that abuser.
right.
Okay. Um, I remember one day I was asleep, and I don't know what his sister said to him, but his sister said something to him, and he comes in and it just starts beating on me while I'm sleeping. Wake up, I got black eyes and all of
Mhm,
this stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, what? Um, that day, I mean, I couldn't go. You can't go to work, and now your job's looking at you.
mhm,
People looking at you. Got a little bit of bruise here, and I'm not a makeup artist. I don't really wear a whole lot of makeup. Okay,
mhm,
I won't go to work. Okay, because I'm not a makeup artist.
yeah,
you know, um, and trying to hide things. When people ask you, "Oh, where'd you get that from?" "Oh, I just bumped myself on the door." You
mhm,
know,
mhm,
try, and people always say, "Oh, why can't they just get out of it? Why can't you?"
yeah,
It's not that easy when you're mentally and physically abused,
mhm,
mentally to the point where, and verbally to the point where don't nobody want me.
yeah,
Okay, who's gonna want me?
yeah,
I got issues like who wants to hear my story? I tell you that all the time. um, who, he's the only one that wants me, so I'm gonna stay with him. Okay, who
mhm,
cares about me? Only him, because he's convinced me of that. Okay, my self-esteem is in the basement. Okay,
mhm,
as
mhm,
far as now, it's not always in the like if you give me a job, I could do the job. I'll tell you right now, girl, I had it done for you in a week. Okay.
mhm,
It might take a month, but I have it done in a week. I
yeah,
can do things like that. But when it came to me and personally, I just didn't have it. I
yeah,
didn't have the self-esteem. Okay. So that was a big problem. Um, One day, me and him got into a fight. We lived on the fourth floor. Okay. And I'm big and bad. I get like this. And no, 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 no. You're not gonna put your hands on me. I'm gonna jump off the balcony before I let you put your hands on me, jumping out the car. Same kind of thing.
mhm,
Okay. He grabs me off and beats me and just beats me and
Mm-hmm.
just beats me
Mm-hmm.
until I just started shaking. I just started shaking. He couldn't even come near me for 2 days. Every time he came near me, I was like this. I just shook. Okay. And you know, until I finally, you know, you just sooner or later you just come out of it. You know, I just sit here now and I just think about the things that you just and I was fighting. I'd fight back. Okay. But I got beat. You
Mm-hmm.
know, even though I can say I was a fighter, I got beat.
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't no love taps. I got beat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you know, and you have to kind of realize that. Okay, and I never looked at it like that. Like I said, I take it and push it down here and keep it moving. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I kept everything moving. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like I said, I was suicidal. I was suicidal. I tried to commit suicide a couple of times. Um,
Mm-hmm. But
but
like,
there's a
but
reason why I haven't gone is because God was still there with me. And what people need to understand is, okay, I am 65 and I am giving you my testimony. I am a witness because I'm supposed to be here to be doing these things. And these are why the things that I am not gone.
amen.
Amen.
Amen. Listen, now I probably should have done a nice little warning because there's people coming in and out. This obviously is a very difficult conversation, and anyone who comes in and out, whatever, make sure you're dropping hearts and lovely comments for Denise because this is a hard thing to talk about. So if we did a little education about how domestic violence is even considered a thing, we have to remember that these men pry on the weak because they know anyone in their right mind and the strength to do so would never let someone do something like this. So they pry, they find a weakness and they prey on that weakness. If it's self-esteem, if it's fear, if it's, I don't know, daddy issues, like they will find it. And
Mhm.
then they don't just straight off come to beat, right? There's a process. They woo you, they make you feel lovely, they make you feel pretty, they make you feel like you're the best thing in the world. And then it's the compliments come. And then there's the separation, right? The separation of family and support systems, because if they can separate you, when the abuse starts, you don't have anywhere to go. They literally isolate you so that
Yes.
you can't return anywhere, so that you're kind of stuck. Then the controlling things happen. They start to do little manipulative stuff. They tell you, like Denise said, you're the only one for me, and no one else is going to love you like me. So that's why you have to stay here. One day I'm going to marry you. One day, and I'm not just saying gender, like men get abused a lot.
Yes.
A lot. It's not talked about because what man is going to come open and say, like, yeah, my lady beats me? No one's saying that, right? So I'm not.
Usually not in the black and brown
Oh
communities.
yes.
Okay.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Okay.
That's true. And so, like, they isolate, they give you all of these, like, it's just me and I'm the only one, and all of that other stuff, right? There comes a point where the physical abuse, it starts off small. It's a little shove here and there. It's a little slap. And then the fists get closed. And then it's wholeheartedly like abuse. And like Denise said, you don't walk away because he has captured your mind. He has captured your body. He has captured your heart, or he or she, they have captured all of these pieces of you that makes walking away very difficult. And because you can't easily walk away, this is why it continues in the magnitude that it does. And then you are left with the trauma. Like, people don't understand that trauma isn't just, it doesn't just stay in one cute little box, right? Everything about you, all of your senses are now being activated. This is why people who get into really bad car accidents, if they smell gasoline, that is a trigger for their trauma, because your body and your senses remember the smells, they remember colors, if you used to get beat upside the head every other day at breakfast making blueberry pancakes, the smell of blueberry pancakes is a trigger because your brain remembers those smells means I'm about to get whacked upside the head. So this is not easy stuff to work past, even as a clinician, as a therapist, as a minister, all of these other things that I do. It is hard to sit with someone in this moment because we feel, and I understand, me and Denise are really close, and it is really difficult, even though because she's working on a book. Even though I've heard a lot of this before, it still hits, right? Because it's painful to hear that someone had to endure that amount of pain, not just physical pain. Scars heal, but those hits to the soul, those hits to the heart, that's what's lasting, and that's where the PTSD comes from. So you were saying about suicide feelings, suicidal tendencies. I remember you were telling, and because again, I know parts of her story, so we're going to bring up certain things.
Okay.
I remember you mentioning when you had your son and you were, I think, on the balcony and you were like, this is it. I'm done. I'm about to end it here. And then you stopped. Tell us about that day.
Actually, my son was grown. He was about 17.
Mm-hmm.
That was something a little different.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you what that was about though, but since you mentioned it,
Mm-hmm.
it was about um, my menopause and the bipolar. So I'm just gonna say this: as when I went through menopause and the hormonal stuff that went on in my life, I became bipolar. And because I became bipolar, I got really, really, really depressed and I
Mm-hmm.
became suicidal. And my son was 16, 17 years old, and I had all these thoughts. I just wanted to go. I'm tired. I'm done. I don't want to deal with anything anymore. And what ended up happening was I realized that I think it's 75% of um, kids' parents that kids of suicidal parents become suicidal, and
Mm-hmm.
I knew that, and I just couldn't do it. I just kept trying and trying and trying. And when you say that, it's because I got down on my knees that
Mm-hmm.
day and I cried to the Lord and I cried to Him. And that day, my mother was in Connecticut, my parents were in Connecticut, and the rest of my siblings are out in California and Nevada. And I got down on my knees. And I remember my girlfriend gave me a number to call this pastor. And I called him, and his wife answered the phone, and she wouldn't let me talk to him, and she hung up. And here I am, like ready to just go.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go. I was just done.
Yeah.
And I had called my sister, and she didn't answer. And I just, I just got on my knees and asked the Lord to help me. And I just stayed down there. And my sister called me back. And I stayed on the phone from like 1 o'clock in the morning until like 10 o'clock in the morning when my parents walked in the door. Okay. And I know that was nobody but God because there was nobody else there for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I know that sometimes we think that God's not there and He's always there. Okay. We think because we don't always pray or we're not always in church, God is always there. Okay. I have learned through hindsight, okay, because I'm not always with God all the time either back in the day. Okay. When I start looking in hindsight, I realized that He was there. That was something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, than the abuse,
Mm-hmm.
hormonal stuff. And now let me tell you, after I went through, now that I'm in post menopause, I'm
Mhm.
fine. I am fine. There is no hormonal stuff, no bipolar, no nothing. So that's what that
Mhm.
came from. And I actually
Mhm.
sat down and talked to the doctors, and they don't like to talk about it because, they don't want to say it's a woman thing. Because if it's a woman thing, sometimes it doesn't get researched as much.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, that's
Mhm.
what that came from. But I've had a lot of suicidal things happen, especially when, like I said, because of the loss of self esteem, because I'm getting beat up, um, that, I know I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be here right now doing what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Okay. But whether I do it dry eyed or teary eyed,
Mhm.
okay, I'm supposed to be doing it.
Yeah.
Um, I just wanted to talk a little bit about um, stalking. You
Mhm.
know, I think that just because you get a restraining order or a harassment order, and there is a difference, a harassment order is like when somebody just keeps bothering you, but they have to bother you at least 3 times, and you got to prove it before they give you a harassment order.
Mhm.
Okay. A restraining order is the difference is that there is some kind of relationship, whether it's 40 years ago or not. Okay. But there was a relationship that was involved.
Mhm.
Okay. Where it's more dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's something you have to, people think because you just have a restraining order or a um, harassment order, it's a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Okay. And you need to understand that you still have to watch your back.
Yeah.
Okay. And I say this because back in the day, I remember calling the police, and they would come, they'd go take the guy, walk down the street, talk with him, and then they'd leave.
Yeah.
And then here he come, ready to beat my behind all over again because I called the man. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now domestic violence has moved up from there. This is one of the reasons why I went this time. Okay, because it's different than back in the day. Back in the day, it was just a waste of time. You call them, they come, and what do? But even now, by the time you call them, something can happen. So all I'm saying is you still need to watch your back.
True.
Okay.
Mhm.
The piece of paper is wonderful because now you can go, okay, look, so and so's here. All right. And they're supposed to come zooming by. All right.
Mhm.
But the point is, you still got to be careful while you're calling them and saying so and so's here. Okay. So it's good to have.
Mhm.
It's part of your safety net, but you
Mhm.
still need to watch your back.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
don't think just because you got it, it's all over. Okay,
Listen, I have to encourage and remind people all the time. Safety in numbers, absolutely, but
right.
everyone, every female should, or male, but mostly females, you should have a code, right?
Mhm,
Even in clinical settings, right? We have this thing where if say your abuser is behind you, right? And you want to signal to me that something is happening, they
mhm,
do this thing where you put your palm up
mhm,
and then you put your thumb in there and then you close it. That means I am unsafe. Call someone and we can have
right.
someone sent over.
Mhm,
And there's code words that you can use,
right.
like the cookies in the oven or whatever. And you establish that with the person
Right.
before,
Right.
so that when they say like, oh yeah, I have some cookies in the oven and I want to bake and whatnot, it doesn't give the abuser like, oh, she's over there telling people
Right.
what's
Right.
happening.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean?
Mhm.
Have a code with your friends. Sometimes it's as simple as two or three numbers because that's all you can get out. If you have male friends, if you have it, like however you do it, even if it's like a group text and you're just sending like 371. No one knows what that means except for you and your group of girls. And that means someone call 911. Here's my address, my location's on, send help. You know what I mean? Like there's so many ways to make sure that you are forever, taken care of. Never walk outside at night by yourself. Keep your locations on, share your locations with anybody, because you never know, God forbid, what can happen. There's ways to stay safe. Promoting safety is how we can overcome this stalking.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's a thing, and social
Yes.
media makes it even worse. Cell phones make it even worse. They find you, they track you, they harass you. I know that one of the people that I was working with, changed their number, and blocked other people's numbers, and now you can get like a text now number, which is a temporary cell number,
Mhm.
and they will call you. They will harass you. If you block that number, they're just going to get another one.
Right.
So be aware, be very aware, and make sure that you are safe and you have a community around you that is able to come to your aid whenever it is. Remember, keep your locations on. um, have a code word, code phrase, code something. Make sure you have someone who's in close proximity. So, like my best friend, he's here now, but he lives all the way in Maryland, so I can't call him.
Right.
So I've made some friends in this new neighborhood that I'm in, and I'm like, hey, y'all, if you
Right.
if you if you get a call from me, this is not just me shooting the breeze. Like, hello,
Mhm.
So it's important to have a community to make sure that you stay safe.
Yeah. Um, I think I want to talk about two more things.
Yeah.
One is sexual assault.
Mhm.
Okay. So I had a list of things, and sometimes it's just a little hard for me, you guys.
It's
I
okay.
apologize. Um, when you're being abused,
Mhm.
sometimes you don't realize sexual assault is part of it, or what is being done to you is considered the sexual assault.
Yeah.
Uh, Last year, well, okay, so last year, I was sexually assaulted by a person. Um, he was a professional. Okay, I've known him for about 5 years,
Mhm.
professionally, and he would come and give stretch. So he would stretch all my muscles. Okay,
Mhm.
um, stretching is very important. Um, Even like when you exercise, they tell you to stretch. So because of who I am in my age, I wanted to make sure that I stretched my muscles all the time.
Yeah.
So I had this person come in um, and stretch me, me and my girlfriend all the time. And one day she had to leave early, and and it was my turn, and um, he did some things to me that um, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Take it easy.
Um, So as he's stretching me, he's getting close to my places. Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm trying to figure out how to say this.
Yeah.
So when he got close the first time, I had said, "Whoa, whoa, you get a little close there. Back up a little bit."
Mhm.
Okay. So then then he did it again, and he put his hand in my vajayjay.
Mhm.
Okay, and I'm shocked because I've been dealing with this man for 5 years.
Mhm.
And like I said, we know how old I am, and this guy's in his 30s, like 35, 38, something like
Mhm.
that. And so I don't think anybody wants to do these things to me.
Yeah.
So he does this, and finally I just tell him, just leave me alone. Just we're done. And he went into the bathroom, and I was sitting in my dining room. I was standing in my dining room, and he went to the bathroom, and he came out, and he sat down in the chair in the dining room and pulled me down on him and told me, "You need to let me get in some of this stuff."
Mhm.
Now I'm freaking. Okay. So I tell him he needs to leave, he leaves. And I don't know if I was in shock or I just don't know. It took me a couple of days to realize what he had actually done to me. And maybe because I just didn't want to believe it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the worst part is I was at work doing a sexual harassment training, okay, before it finally hit me like, Denise, okay. Oh, that was a aha moment, and I was like, oh my God, he actually sexually assaulted you. What are you gonna do? And most of the time, the things that have happened to me, I've always been passive and I haven't done anything. And I realized that I needed to do something. Okay. And this was the first time that I didn't go to the police or anything like that, but I did address it. It took me almost a week to address it, and I did address it, and told him what he did and told him that it was unprofessional and never to come near me again. And if he did, I would take do okay. And I did it by text, so I had it in writing,
Yeah.
and also because he also acknowledged it, so I have everything in writing. So it took me I don't know, I still don't know what it was. It just kind of freaked me out, so that I just didn't get it. I don't know. But sometimes these things happen to you and you just go like, huh? And it took me a minute to understand that I was actually assaulted. And I don't know if because I didn't want to believe it or it's just because he had been around. I treated this guy like he was my son, not like somebody to attack me.
Yeah.
But I also realized that happens in abusive relationships, and I had to go back to that too. Okay, when you're in a relationship, because these men think that they can do whatever they want to do to you because they're your man. So when you say no, they say yes. Okay? And you say no, and they say yes, and they take what they want. So I also just wanted to make sure that we understand that this is also part of an abusive relationship, okay, to be sexually assaulted. Okay. I actually finally did something about that. And then this year, with this that happened, I did something with that. But I'm going to tell you how I got out of the first abusive relationship. Okay, because I think that everybody needs to know I did get out of it and I did it, and I didn't let anybody else do it for me, because if they did it for me, I haven't learned my lesson.
That's good.
So my lesson was my daddy didn't beat me like this. Why am I gonna have some other man put their hands on me like this?
Yeah.
Okay. And I left like a thief in the night. Okay. He beat me up. I put some sunglasses on. I didn't go to work next day. Okay. Found me a furnished apartment. Talked to the guy when I got paid that Friday. I paid him that Friday. When this man went to work that night, I was gone. Gone, gone. Okay. And I had, for my job, I had a police escort. Okay. He was not allowed into my job. And I got a police escort for about a week or two from my job to my new home. Okay. Because I couldn't, this is something that I had to do. I had to realize who I am and what I'm worth. Okay. And I was worth a whole lot more than that bull crap. Okay. I needed to understand that nobody has a right to do that. Okay. Nobody has a right to put their hands on me. And I have triggers. Okay. You cannot come in my space unless I let you. If you come near me in my space, my hands, and I don't let you, my hands are out there. Okay. They're going to be out there because you're in my space. I have to allow you in my space. And that is a trigger for me. You can't just walk up on me. Okay. Yeah. So I understand I have some things. Okay. But I know where they come from and how I've handled them over the years. But I want to let you know that I was able to walk away from that, okay, realizing that I was better than that, realizing that I was stronger than that, realizing who I am. I didn't think much of myself back then, okay? But it got to the point where it was, oh no, you don't deserve this. This is crazy, okay?
Mhm.
Why am I going to listen to this person? I had to walk away from it. I'm the one. You can't, I'm going to tell you something, you can't get out of it unless you decide to get out of it.
True. True.
It's all here.
Mm-hmm. So the great part is that there are resources available. I am sharing some of the resources to people in the chats. Okay. Um, Getting out is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard. It takes courage, and it also takes somewhere to go. I think a lot of people stay because, like, well, I don't have anywhere to go. I have family. I don't have friends. There are shelters. There's hotlines. You can get out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Some people don't have that unction to leave because they're right there, and they tell things like, if you leave, I'm coming after you, and most of them do. They do try to find you. They will hunt you down. Find a place, find a shelter, find a hotline. There's local information. There's a website, and then you can tailor it down to um, where you are, and resources can be found that way. But a little education. We did education on domestic violence and that type of abuse. Denise brought up a lot about other forms of abuse. So it's not all physical. There is sexual. No means no. And anyone who goes against that, no, it is considered abuse. Okay. It doesn't, in being intoxicated and under the influence, no still means no. Even if you're not in your right mind, a no is a no. And further information is that emotional and mental abuse is the worst forms of abuse. And here's why. If you capture their mind, you capture the person. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you break them down, tear them down mentally, emotionally, the body just follows suit, right? So if there is a moment when someone is breaking you down, you feel the red flags, you recognize the red flags. If you have trouble recognizing the red flags, hit me up and we will talk about red flags. But red flags include belittling, gaslighting. Gaslighting is when they make you seem like your feelings and your thoughts and your experiences are not yours. No, that never happened. That's not what I said. That's not what I did. You're imagining things. That's gaslighting. Breadcrumbing is a word, is a phrase that is used. So it's when the abuser gives you a little bit of compliments and a little bit of love, but they take it whenever it's convenient for them.
Mm-hmm.
They make you feel wanted, but then will slap you upside the head because you're not fulfilling their needs.
Mm-hmm.
That's breadcrumbing. It's giving you a little bit of what you need, but at the end, he or she, the abuser, is still in control. There are other forms of verbal abuse or mental emotional abuse. Again, a lot of it has to do with breaking down the person.
Yep.
If you feel like your partner is not supporting, elevating you, that they want to control you in any form, control your money, control where you go, control who you talk to,
what you wear.
What you wear. It's not because, oh, babe, I want you because you represent me. It's a form of control.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that an abuser does is to maintain control. In the professional setting, like Denise was saying, he thought it was okay because he was in an authoritative type position, and power equals control. Power, money equals power. Anything that they can do to gain power and to leverage that, it is abuse. So whether it's happening in romantic settings, friendships, other spaces and places, be aware of what these definitions are, because everyone knows what physical abuse looks like. Most people knows what sexual abuse looks like. If, like in Denise's case, if your fingers are going too many places, and you freeze, that is a traumatic response. A lot of people know the F's of trauma, the fight or flight.
Right.
They don't know the freeze. Freeze means like everything in your body shuts down,
Mm-hmm.
because in that moment, your mind and your body is looking for safety. If they do not find safety, your everything shuts down. And so, because it's familiar, and for Denise, it was familiar, because it was familiar, she couldn't move. It was like, I've been here before, and I want to scream. Probably on the inside, she was screaming and yelling and wailing, but on the outside, it was like, I'm frozen. Those are traumatic responses,
Right.
unfortunately. And so, if you've ever been belittled, if you've ever been misused or abused, that is an indicator, like, let me get help, because you don't want to carry, like Denise said, this is 40 years of pain and misuse and abuse that she is overcoming and actively still overcoming. And like she said, what is common for her and other victims turning into survivors is that they don't share, they don't talk, they don't face it, they don't confront, right? So remember, you have a voice, and
Mm-hmm.
this is how you gain your voice back. This is how you regain control. You tell somebody, and even if one doesn't believe you, you keep saying it, because there are people who are getting away with this abusive lifestyle and tendencies, because they know no one's going to tell,
Mm-hmm.
no one's going to say anything, and as long as they feel like they can get away with it, they'll keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So in professional settings, they call them whistleblowers.
Mm.
You got to blow that whistle,
Mm-hmm.
blow that whistle. You do not want to be a part of a cycle that can be changed if you speak out about it. And, again, Denise talked about harassment orders. She talked about restraining orders. She talked about getting trainings on sexual abuse and what that looks like in professional settings and in personal settings. Remember, ladies and men, but since we're here for the ladies tonight, ladies, remember, you are a gem. You were beautifully and wonderfully made by the good Lord above. And anyone that makes you feel less than that should not be in your circle. They should not be in your ear, because if they have your ear, they have your head. If they have your head, they have your life. So
Right.
you have to remember who you are. Remember to love yourself unconditionally. Remember to see yourself in the way that God sees you,
Mm.
and get professional help. I don't just say that because I am one of the professionals. I'm saying that because you never want to face this kind of stuff, this baggage, this burden, this weight, these heavy things that you are carrying in your heart. You don't want to face it alone. And, friends are great, family is great. They can only lead you but oh so far. So go to a professional who's trained in this. They do have specific trauma counselors, domestic violence counselors. They do have um, counselors that are specific for depression and anxiety and children, childhood abuse, and find it. Psychologytoday.com is a great place to go to find your specific needs and your specific, if you don't want to do individual,
Right.
there's groups,
That's right.
so don't be ashamed. Reach out. Yeah. Was
Okay.
there anything else, Mima?
No, I think I've had enough almost crying.
Well, lady, my friend, my Mima, Denise, I really hope someone can learn from Denise's pain and maybe find the courage to do what, took a while for Denise to be able to do. The fact that she, first of all, not just shared her story, but she's openly sharing her story on a platform. Now, granted, I don't have like thousands and thousands of followers, but if she reaches one, and I tell this all the
Amen.
time to people who join, if you reach one, you have just saved a life, and that is worth all of the effort and everything that I do. So, Denise, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing. You guys, feel free to share this. The information again is in the comment section. If there's any needs that you have, there's hotlines. Find local shelters. Find somebody. It's okay to share, and you will make it. Denise, I'm so proud of you. You did so
Yeah, I didn't break down
good.
real bad, right?
No, you did so good. Next week, ladies, we are back for episode 7. I do believe Tracy is back. Tracy
Okay.
is having fun living up her best life. She's doing great things. And she will be back next week, maybe. Who knows? Um, yes, Denise, thank you for sharing. But next week, we have my good friend, my colleague. She goes by Lilac on Facebook and everything else, but her name is Stephanie. Stephanie will be here. What the title is, we're still working that out because she has a lot that she can share and talk about. And when Stephanie's here, it's always a good time. So again, ladies, gentlemen, feel free to share this. Feel free to reach out to me, Denise. Send
I
the
wanted
heart,
to
send
laugh.
the
I
love.
couldn't laugh. I wanted to laugh.
You did
Not
laugh.
much.
This wasn't a laughing manner,
Ooh, I
ma'am.
know.
Abuse and
Ooh.
violence is not a laughing
I
matter.
know, but this was deep. I know. I know.
Yes, you can come back and we'll have a more fun,
Something
less
lighter. Something,
something
something
lighter
lighter.
for the folks. All right, you guys, you have a blessed night. I will hopefully see you next Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Remember, we are all about her, Her, healing, evolving, and restoring. That is why we're here.
And I'm still
I was
doing it.
yes, and I will still I will still be here time and time again. Thank you guys, and I will see you later.
All right. Bye.